And probably the most compelling evidence I see for like, oh, this person should supplement with ALA is in the type 1 diabetic population. Because, retinopathy, vision decline is very prevalent in type 1 diabetics, and alpha lipoic acid seems to ameliorate some of that, not just in preclinical models, so mice, but actually in people's visual acuity, contrast sensitivity, their ability to make out different shades of color and things of that nature.
Shifting gears to another note, ALA is another fatty acid that we get a lot of questions about, both our ALA and ALA in general. There's a lot of potential risks and benefits, but how do we look at that in general?
So alpha lipoic acid, basically if you want to get a lot of this in your diet, walnuts are a great source of that. And what's most interesting to me about this one is that we have quite a bit of human data on it. It's been around for a long time, a lot of study. And probably the most compelling evidence I see for like, oh, this person should supplement with ALA is in the type 1 diabetic population. Because, retinopathy, vision decline is very prevalent in type 1 diabetics, and alpha lipoic acid seems to ameliorate some of that, not just in preclinical models, so mice, but actually in people's visual acuity, contrast sensitivity, their ability to make out different shades of color and things of that nature. And I don't know why this hasn't made it into the guidelines, because it's a fairly benign intervention, and it has a lot of upside for type 1 diabetics. And maybe there are endocrinologists out there doing this, but all the type 1 diabetics I've seen, they have not been taking an ALA supplement. There's a little bit of data looking at maybe it helps to ameliorate some of the nephropathy that we see there, the kidney issues that are caused by type 1 diabetes. But I don't think that's been, there's not any long-term outcome studies there where we see, does it preserve EGFR, et cetera.
Yeah, it is not without potential downsides. There is some evidence that our ALA is better than a mixture of what I believe is the enantiomers of alpha lipoic acid. So in general, since there's not really a downside to our ALA, we generally go with our ALA, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to switch to that. And it doesn't necessarily mean getting a mixed enantiomer supplement is detrimental. We get a lot of questions about its effect on the thyroid as well. And in general, it is not particularly concerning for the thyroid. If you look at many supplements, boron, cruciferous vegetables, lots of goitrogens, things seem like they would significantly impair thyroid function, or even small amounts of iodine that the thyroid cannot use. But in general, it's not clinically significant, although it might be statistically significant.
Yeah, and this is just another reason for people, if they are taking something that has a potential either positive or adverse effect on the thyroid, you're getting your about quarterly blood work seeing, is this pushing up my TSH, and does that trend continue? So just because you see a bump doesn't mean, oh, I need to do a complete 180 and reverse course, but does that TSH go from 3 to 5 to 7 to, and so forth? And it's interesting, we see the same pattern as far as these racemic mixtures and different isomers in supplement form, and then also in the pharmaceutical industry. It's not uncommon to see a medication that's a mixture come out, and then they leave off half of it, and they say, okay, this isomer is actually what's giving most of the benefit, and then we can avoid some side effects this way. And it just takes a little bit longer, but you do see the same thing in the supplement industry.
Quick note on intracellular or intracanology of thyroid hormone. So like the converting of T4 to T3 inside the cell, there's 3 main deiodinase enzymes. The second one, which I think is 5', 3', converts to reverse T3. And there are not many things, ALA included, that are concerning for downregulating this intracellular conversion significantly, but 2 that are very likely significant: selenium, of course, and then vitamin D. So I would say look at those 2 things first if you're concerned about like T4 to T3 or intracellular hypothyroidism.
Yeah, those are great things to look at as far as people's micronutrient profile.